sorrowful reflection. The weight of 3 years bears down upon me, like an unyielding storm that rages on. It's been an eternity since I turned my back on Rachel, the one who stood by me through the joys and the struggles of my life. The memories of that fateful day still linger, a festering wound that refuses to heal. Yet it is in this sorrow that I find solace, for I see the hand of God guiding me towards redemption. In the depths of my sorrow, a voice whispered a truth I could no longer ignore, a voice that spoke of regret, of guilt, and of the consequences of my actions. I had distanced myself from Rachel, not realizing the depth of her emotional pain. The loss of my mother, the weight of my family's responsibilities, and my own struggles had led me astray. I had abandoned the one who stood by me, and for that, I am accountable. But God's secret intervention has been at work, guiding me towards a path of healing and restoration. In the stillness of my prayer, I felt a stirring within me, a sense of conviction that I could no longer ignore. God revealed to me the true extent of Rachel's heartache and the impact of my abandonment. The visions of her tears, her isolation, and her desperate longing for my presence pierced my heart like a sword. It was then that I understood the gravity of my mistake and the weight of my responsibility. As I stood before the mirror, the reflection staring back at me was no longer the same. The lines etched on my face, the weariness in my eyes, and the weight of my regret transformed me into a different person. I saw a stranger who had been living a lie of comfort and security, but a lie nonetheless. For in that moment, I realized that my actions had consequences, not just for Rachel, but for myself as well. The guilt and shame I'd been trying to suppress had been consuming me, and it was only when I faced the truth that I could begin to heal. The stillness of my prayer had given me a glimpse into the future, a glimpse of what could be. I saw a restored relationship, a bond that had been broken, but not irreparably so. I saw Rachel's smile, her laughter, and her tears of joy, and it filled me with a sense of hope. For I knew that I had been given a second chance, a chance to make things right, to apologize and to mend the cracks in our relationship. But as I stood at the threshold of reconciliation, a voice whispered a warning in my ear. "Emma, it will not change the past, but it will give you the opportunity to start anew." The weight of those words settled upon me like a mantle, and I felt a sense of peace wash over me. For I knew that I was not seeking to undo the past, but to move forward, to leave the guilt and shame behind, and to find redemption in the present. In this moment of sorrow, I see the hand of God guiding me towards a path of healing and restoration. I see the signs of redemption, the signs of a new beginning. I see the brokenness of my relationship with Rachel, but I also see the possibility of restoration. And it is in this restoration that I find my hope for a new tomorrow, a tomorrow filled with the promise of healing, of forgiveness, and of a renewed relationship. As I take my first steps towards reconciliation, I am acutely aware of the weight of my responsibility. I am accountable for my actions, and I will not shy away from the consequences of my mistake. I will not seek to justify or rationalize my behavior, for I know that only a genuine apology and a willingness to change will bring healing to our relationship. In this moment of sorrow, I am reminded of the power of God's intervention in my life. I am reminded that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always a chance for redemption and restoration. And it is this hope that fills me with a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, and a sense of determination to make things right. As I embark on this journey of reconciliation, I am aware that it will not be easy. It will require effort, sacrifice, and a willingness to confront the pain and shame of my past. But I am not afraid, for I know that I am not alone. I am accompanied by the Spirit of God, guiding me, nudging me, and urging me towards a path of healing and restoration. In this moment of sorrow, I have found my voice, a voice that speaks of regret, of guilt, and of redemption. It is a voice that whispers a message of hope, a message that speaks of the possibility of a new beginning, a new tomorrow filled with the promise of healing, of forgiveness, and of a renewed relationship. And it is this voice that will guide me on my journey, a journey of reconciliation, of healing, and of redemption. The weight of regret settles upon her like a mantle, a crushing burden that threatens to consume her very being. Emma feels the warmth of the sun on her skin, but it brings no comfort. The gentle breeze rustles the leaves of the trees, but its soft whisper only echoes the haunting questions that plague her mind. She cannot shake the feeling that she has been sleepwalking through life, oblivious to the suffering of those around her. The tears that she has not cried, the words that she has not spoken, and the moments that she has not seized. All these weigh upon her conscience like a dark and foreboding storm. In the stillness of the night, a phrase echoes through her mind. You are there for your own healing, not for hers. The words cut deep, a surgical incision that exposes the tender flesh of her heart. Emma realizes that she was so consumed by her own grief that she neglected to be present for Rachel's, that she prioritized her own pain above her friends. The memories of the past 3 years flood her mind like a raging river, threatening to sweep her away on a tide of remorse. She sees the faces of her loved ones, but they are distorted, their features blurred by the veil of her guilt. The laughter, the tears, and the quiet moments that she shared with Rachel, all these have been tainted by her absence, her silence, and her selfishness. As the weight of her regret presses down upon her, Emma feels the ground beneath her feet giving way. She is standing on the precipice of a great chasm, a vast and yawning gulf that separates her from the person she used to be. The wind howls and the earth shakes, but she is frozen in place, unable to move forward or turn back. And yet, in the midst of this turmoil, a glimmer of light appears on the horizon. A gentle voice whispers in her ear, a voice that is both fierce and compassionate. You have been given a second chance, Emma. Will you seize it, or will you let it slip away? She feels the weight of her regret bearing down upon her, but it is no longer crushing. Instead, it is a catalyst, a spark that ignites a fire within her. Emma knows that she cannot change the past, that she cannot undo the harm that she has caused, but she can start anew. She can begin again. In this moment, Emma understands that reconciliation is not about erasing the past, but about embracing the present. It is not about restoring what was lost, but about creating something new. It is about taking the fragments of her broken relationships and crafting them into something beautiful, something whole. As the storm rages on, Emma stands firm, her feet planted firmly on the ground. She knows that the journey ahead will be difficult, that the road to redemption will be long and arduous. But she is no longer afraid, for she has been given a vision of a brighter future, a future where she is no longer haunted by the ghosts of her regret. With a sense of determination and purpose, Emma steps forward, leaving the weight of her regret behind. She knows that she will stumble, that she will falter, but she is no longer alone. The voice that whispered in her ear has become a guiding light, a beacon that illuminates her path and shows her the way. And so Emma embarks on a journey of forgiveness, a journey that will take her to the depths of her own heart and back again. She knows that it will be a journey of darkness and light, of sorrow and joy. But she is no longer afraid, for she has been given a gift, the gift of a second chance, the gift of redemption, and the gift of a new beginning. In the realm of the unseen, a tapestry of sorrow unfolded, its threads intricately woven with the fabric of human relationships. 3 years ago, a bond was broken, leaving an indelible mark on the heart of Rachel. Her best friend, Emma, had abandoned her at a critical moment, unaware of the depth of her pain. The silence that followed was deafening, a heavy blanket of regret that shrouded their once vibrant friendship. God's hand was at work, guiding Emma's steps, nudging her toward redemption. But Rachel, blinded by the darkness of her own sorrow, couldn't see the gentle prodding of the divine. She thought she was alone, that the hurt she felt was hers to bear. Yet, in the quiet hours of the night, a whispered promise echoed through her soul. You are not forsaken. In the stillness, Rachel's memories came flooding back. The laughter, the tears, the whispered secrets shared between two souls bound by an unbreakable bond. But it was the silence that followed Emma's departure that left an aching void in Rachel's heart. The months that followed were a blur of numbness, as Rachel struggled to find her footing in a world that seemed to have moved on without her. She watched as Emma's life continued to flourish. 2 beautiful children born into a love that seemed to have grown stronger with each passing day. Rachel's heart swelled with joy for her friend, yet a bitter taste lingered on her tongue, the knowledge that she had been left behind. The wounds of abandonment ran deep, a festering sore that refused to heal. As the years passed, Rachel's gaze turned inward, seeking answers to questions she couldn't quite articulate. Why had Emma abandoned her? Had their friendship been nothing more than a fleeting infatuation? The doubts crept in, like thieves in the night, stealing moments of peace and leaving only despair in their wake. But God's secret intervention was at work, guiding Emma toward a path of restoration. A gentle whisper in the dead of night, a nudge in the silence, a reminder of the love that had once flowed between them like a river. And so, Emma felt the weight of her regret, a burden she had carried for far too long. In the quiet hours of the morning, she prayed for guidance, her heart heavy with the knowledge of what she had done. The tears fell like rain as Emma's understanding of the situation slowly began to dawn. She saw the pain she had caused, the heartache she had left in her wake, the words she had spoken to herself. "I did the right thing," echoed back, hollow and unconvincing. The truth was, she had abandoned her friend when her friend needed her most. And yet, in the midst of this revelation, Emma felt a glimmer of hope. She realized that reconciliation was not about erasing the past, but about creating a new future. A future where 2 friends, once broken, could be mended. A future where the love they shared could be rekindled, its flames burning brighter than before. As Emma stood at the threshold of this new chapter in her life, a sense of resolve settled within her. She knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, that the wounds of their past would need time to heal. But she also knew that God was with her, guiding her steps, nudging her toward redemption. And so, with a heart full of hope and a spirit renewed, Emma set out to make things right with Rachel. She knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but she was ready to face it head-on. For in the depths of her soul, a spark had been lit, a flame that burned with a fierce determination to mend the broken bond between 2 friends. In the realm of the unseen, a tapestry of sorrow began to unravel, its threads slowly being rewoven into a rich brocade of love and redemption. The story of Emma and Rachel was far from over, but one thing was certain. Their friendship would emerge stronger, its beauty more radiant than ever before. For in the silence, a whispered promise had been made. You are not forsaken. A sorrowful reflection. The weight of my regret presses upon me like a physical force, crushing the air from my lungs. It's been 3 years since I abandoned my best friend Rachel at a time when she needed me most. My mind wanders back to that moment, replaying the choices I made and the words I left unspoken. But I am not alone in my sorrow. A gentle whisper stirs within me. a soft voice that beckons me towards redemption. I feel it, a presence, a nudge, a gentle reminder that I am not beyond forgiveness. It is as if the universe itself is nudging me, urging me to take the first step towards making amends with Rachel. The guilt that has been festering inside me begins to seep out, a painful reminder of my neglect. A faint light pierces through the darkness, illuminating the path ahead. I'm drawn to it, helpless to resist its gentle pull. With each step, the weight of my regret grows lighter, replaced by an unshakable sense of purpose. I'm being guided, led by an unseen force that propels me towards Rachel. In the stillness of night, I turn to prayer, seeking guidance from the one who has always been my rock. As I pour out my heart, the words spill out in a deluge of confession and contrition. The burden of my guilt begins to lift, replaced by an overwhelming sense of compassion. I see Rachel's face, etched with pain and loneliness, and my heart breaks all over again. But this time, I'm not paralyzed by regret. Instead, I am filled with a sense of urgency, a burning desire to make things right. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was long dead. I realize that my abandonment of Rachel was not just a personal failure, but a spiritual one as well. I had forgotten the power of love and forgiveness, and the importance of standing by those who need me most. As I kneel before my Maker, I feel the weight of history shifting. The past, once a heavy burden, begins to lift, replaced by a sense of possibility. I see Rachel's face, not as a reminder of my failure, but as a chance to start anew. I am given a second chance, a chance to redeem myself, to prove that love and forgiveness can conquer even the darkest of wounds. The nudge from God grows stronger, urging me to take the next step. I rise from my knees, a sense of purpose coursing through my veins. I know that reconciliation will not change the past, but it will give me the opportunity to start anew, to mend the tears in my relationship with Rachel. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for the road ahead, knowing that I am not alone in this journey. God's presence envelops me, a warm and comforting blanket that wraps around my soul. I am reminded that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always a chance for redemption and forgiveness. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was lost forever, and I am grateful for this second chance. As I embark on this journey towards reconciliation, I am filled with a sense of wonder and awe. I realize that God's plan is far greater than my own, that His purpose is not just to forgive me, but to use me as a vessel for His love and redemption. The weight of my regret begins to lift, replaced by an unshakable sense of purpose. I'm not the same person who abandoned Rachel 3 years ago. I am a changed person, one who has been touched by the divine, one who has been given a second chance to make things right. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was lost, and I am grateful for this opportunity to start anew. As I take the first step towards reconciliation, I'm filled with a sense of trepidation, but also with a sense of hope. I know that the road ahead will be difficult, that there will be challenges and obstacles to overcome, but I also know that I'm not alone in this journey. I have the presence of God guiding me, nudging me towards redemption, and urging me to take the next step. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was lost, and I'm grateful for this second chance. I'm not just seeking to make amends with Rachel. I'm seeking to rediscover myself, to find my purpose, and to live a life that is pleasing to God. The weight of my regret begins to lift, replaced by an unshakable sense of purpose. I'm not just a person who abandoned her friend. I'm a person who's been given a second chance to make things right. I'm a person who's been touched by the divine, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to start anew. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was lost, and I'm ready to embark on this journey towards redemption and forgiveness. As I take the next step, I'm filled with a sense of wonder and awe. I realize that God's plan is far greater than my own, that His purpose is not just to forgive me, but to use me as a vessel for His love and redemption. The weight of my regret begins to lift, replaced by an unshakable sense of purpose. I am not just seeking to make amends with Rachel. I am seeking to rediscover myself, to find my purpose, and to live a life that is pleasing to God. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was lost, and I am ready to embark on this journey towards redemption and forgiveness. As I look back on the past, I realize that God's presence was always with me, guiding me, nudging me towards redemption. I may have abandoned Rachel, but I was never abandoned by God. His love and forgiveness are always available to me, and I'm grateful for this second chance. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was lost, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to start anew. I'm not just a person who abandoned her friend. I'm a person who has been given a second chance to make things right. I'm a person who has been touched by the divine, and I am ready to embark on this journey towards redemption and forgiveness. As I take the next step, I am filled with a sense of wonder and awe. I realize that God's plan is far greater than my own, that His purpose is not just to forgive me, but to use me as a vessel for His love and redemption. The weight of my regret begins to lift, replaced by an unshakable sense of purpose. I am ready to embark on this journey, to confront the past, and to seek reconciliation with Rachel. I am ready to rediscover myself, to find my purpose, and to live a life that is pleasing to God. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was lost, and I am grateful for this second chance. As I look back on the past, I realize that God's presence was always with me, guiding me, nudging me towards redemption. I may have abandoned Rachel, but I was never abandoned by God. His love and forgiveness are always available to me, and I am grateful for this second chance. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was lost, and I am grateful for this opportunity to start anew. I am not just a person who abandoned her friend. I am a person who has been given a second chance to make things right. I am a person who has been touched by the divine, and I am ready to embark on this journey towards redemption and forgiveness. As I take the next step, I am filled with a sense of wonder and awe. I realize that God's plan is far greater than my own, that His purpose is not just to forgive me, but to use me as a vessel for His love and redemption. The weight of my regret begins to lift, replaced by an unshakable sense of purpose. I am ready to embark on this journey, to confront the past, and to seek reconciliation with Rachel. I'm ready to rediscover myself, to find my purpose, and to live a life that is pleasing to God. The nudge from God has awakened a part of me that I thought was lost, and I am grateful for this second chance. In the twilight of a forgotten moment, a spark was kindled, igniting a flame of remorse that would illuminate the path to redemption. Emma, a young mother of two, stood at the crossroads, her heart heavy with the weight of guilt and regret. The memories of a painful past lingered, a haunting reminder of a choice made in haste, a bond broken without a thought for the consequences. As she navigated the labyrinth of her own conscience, Emma began to see the world anew. The eyes of her soul opened to the depths of Rachel's heartache. The whispers of God's gentle voice echoed within her, a soft breeze that rustled the leaves of her understanding, revealing the truth of her actions. The pain of her friend's withdrawal, the silence that followed, and the distance that grew between them, all a testament to the depth of Emma's abandonment. In the stillness of the night, Emma felt the weight of her neglect, the crushing burden of her own fear and insecurity. She had been so consumed by her own struggles, her own pain, that she had neglected the heart of a loyal friend. But now, in this moment of clarity, She saw the error of her ways, the damage done, and the hurt inflicted. As she stood at the threshold of a new beginning, Emma felt the presence of God, a steadfast companion who guided her steps and illuminated her path. The road to reconciliation was not an easy one, but it was a journey Emma was called to undertake. With each step, she felt the weight of her guilt slowly lifting, the burden of her regret bearing down less heavily on her shoulders. But the journey was not without its challenges. The prospect of facing the consequences of her past actions loomed before her, a specter of doubt and fear that threatened to derail her progress. What if Rachel rejected her apology? What if the hurt she had caused was too deep to be mended? The questions swirled in her mind like a tempest, threatening to engulf her in their uncertainty. And yet Emma pressed on, driven by a sense of purpose and a deepening understanding of the divine plan. She knew that reconciliation would not change the past, but it would give her the opportunity to start anew, to mend the bond that had been broken, and to forge a stronger, more resilient friendship. As she walked the narrow path, Emma encountered the shadows of her own insecurities and fears. They crept up on her, unseen and uninvited, their whispers a constant reminder of her own weakness and doubt. But Emma stood firm, her faith in the divine plan unwavering, her heart fixed on the promise of redemption. With each step, the darkness began to recede, the light of God's presence growing stronger, illuminating the path ahead. Emma saw the world anew. The eyes of her soul opened to the beauty of the divine plan. She saw the threads of connection that bound her to Rachel, the ties that bound them together in a bond of friendship and loyalty. In this moment of clarity, Emma knew that she was not alone. God was with her, guiding her steps, illuminating her path. She felt the presence of her friend, too, a silent companion who stood by her side, a reminder of the bond that had been broken but not destroyed. As Emma approached the moment of truth, the moment when she would reach out to Rachel and begin the journey of reconciliation, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that this was a moment of divine intervention, a turning point in her journey, a moment when the path to redemption was laid bare before her. With heart full of hope and a spirit renewed, Emma stood ready to face the consequences of her past actions. She knew that reconciliation would not be easy, but she was willing to take the first step, to begin the journey of healing and restoration. For in the depths of her heart, she knew that God was with her, guiding her steps, illuminating her path, and leading her to the place of redemption. And so, Emma took a deep breath, steeled herself for the journey ahead, and reached out to Rachel, her heart full of hope and her spirit renewed. The road to reconciliation was long and winding, but Emma knew that she was not alone. God was with her, guiding her steps and illuminating her path. In this moment, Emma knew that she was part of something greater than herself, something that transcended the boundaries of time and space. She was part of the divine plan, a plan that was unfolding before her, a plan that would lead her to the place of redemption and healing. And as she looked to the future, Emma knew that she would emerge from this journey stronger, wiser, and more resilient. She would emerge with a deeper understanding of the divine plan, a plan that was unfolding before her, a plan that would lead her to the place of redemption and healing. In this moment, Emma knew that she was not just a young mother of two, struggling to make her way in a world of uncertainty. She was a child of God, a beloved child, loved and cherished by the divine. And with this knowledge, she stepped out into the unknown, her heart full of hope, her spirit renewed, and her soul at peace. The road to reconciliation was long and winding, but Emma was ready. She was ready to face the consequences of her past actions, to begin the journey of healing and restoration. For in the depths of her heart, she knew that God was with her, guiding her steps, illuminating her path, and leading her to the place of redemption. And so, Emma's journey began. A journey of faith, hope, and redemption. A journey that would lead her to the place of healing. A place where the bond between her and Rachel would be mended, and a new beginning would unfold. A sorrowful reflection. In the depths of Emma's soul, a storm had been brewing for years, a tempest that had ravaged her heart and soul. She had abandoned her best friend Rachel in a moment of personal turmoil, and in doing so, had unleashed a tidal wave of anguish that threatened to destroy their bond. Yet, even as the ripples of regret continued to spread, Emma remained oblivious to the truth that God had been guiding her every step, urging her to return to Rachel and seek forgiveness. The whispers of the divine had been there all along, a gentle breeze that rustled the leaves of her heart, warning her of the impending consequences of her actions. But Emma had been too blinded by her own pain to hear the call. She had convinced herself that she had done the right thing, that she had needed to focus on her own family's well-being, and that Rachel would understand. But God knew the truth. He saw the depth of Rachel's sorrow, the tears she had cried alone in the dead of night, the sleepless nights spent wondering if she would ever find her way back to a friendship that had been her rock. And he saw the weight of guilt that had been growing inside Emma, a weight that threatened to consume her very being. It was not until Emma's prayers became less about seeking answers and more about seeking forgiveness that the veil of denial was lifted. In a moment of raw vulnerability, she felt the piercing gaze of the divine, and in that instant, she saw the truth, that her abandonment of Rachel had been a sin that had hurt not just her friend, but herself as well. The revelation was like a knife to her soul, cutting through the layers of rationalization and deceit. Emma knew that she could not undo the past, that she could not turn back the clock and relive the moments she had missed. But in that same breath, she knew that she had been given a second chance, a chance to start anew, to begin the process of reconciliation and healing. As she reached out to Rachel, Emma felt a sense of trepidation mixed with hope. Would her friend be willing to forgive, to put the past behind them and start afresh? Or would the wounds of betrayal run too deep, leaving their friendship irreparably damaged? The days that followed were a blur of emotions, a roller coaster ride of excitement and anxiety. Emma's heart pounded in her chest as she awaited Rachel's response, her fingers trembling as she picked up the phone to make the call. But as the moments ticked by and Rachel's words began to flow, Emma knew that she was not alone. She was on a path that God had ordained, a path that would lead her to a new beginning, a new understanding of their friendship, and a deeper relationship with the one who had been guiding her all along. As they spoke, the barriers that had once stood between them began to crumble, the walls of misunderstanding and hurt coming down. Emma and Rachel began to peel back the layers of their past, to confront the truths they had been unwilling to acknowledge. And in doing so, they discovered a new appreciation for each other, a new understanding of the value of their friendship. Their conversations were a dance, a delicate balance of give and take, of forgiveness and understanding. They talked of the pain they had caused each other, of the hurt that had been inflicted and the wounds that had been left to heal. But they also talked of the love they had shared, of the laughter they had enjoyed, and of the memories they had created. As they navigated the complexities of their past, Emma and Rachel began to see each other in a new light. They saw the cracks in their armor, the scars that had been left to heal. But they also saw the beauty in each other, the strength and resilience that had carried them through the darkest of times. Their friendship was a work of art, a masterpiece crafted by the divine hand of God. It was a tapestry of moments, of laughter and tears, of joy and sorrow. And as they wove their way through the past, Emma and Rachel knew that their bond was unbreakable, a bond that had been forged in the fire of adversity and strengthened by the power of forgiveness. In the end, it was not the past that defined their friendship, but the present. It was the choice they made to forgive, to let go of the hurt and the anger, and to begin anew. It was the choice to stand together, hand in hand, and to face the future with hope and courage. Emma's journey had been one of sorrow and regret, but it had also been one of redemption and healing. For in the end, it was not the mistakes that had defined her relationship with Rachel, but the lessons they had learned, the wisdom they had gained, and the love they had shared. And as they looked to the future, Emma and Rachel knew that their friendship was a beacon of hope, a shining light in a world that often seemed dark and unforgiving. Their story was one of divine intervention, a tale of how God had worked behind the scenes to bring two women together, to mend a broken relationship, and to create something new and beautiful in the process. It was a testament to the power of forgiveness, of the human heart's capacity to heal and to love. In the end, Emma's sorrowful reflection had become a triumphant celebration of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always a chance for redemption, always a path forward. And as she looked to the future, Emma knew that she would always be grateful for the gift of reconciliation, for the power of forgiveness, and for the love that had been restored in her heart.